Is there anything more frustrating than going to the gym for 6 months? You're on your nutrition, you lose 20 pounds, you feel great. And then a year later, you're back at square one. The motivation's gone, you lost the consistency, and then you look down, you're back where you started. And if you're like, what's going on? Why is that? Why can I not maintain that? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down the secret. And the secret is the difference between a Jedi and a Sith Lord, believe it or not. And over the last 6 years, I've coached over 500 individuals. I've had thousands of subscribers do the workouts on my channel. I've been a Division I athlete myself. I've trained for 15 years. And this time and time again proves true. And ultimately, it's what gets you started and it's what keeps you motivated. That is the big distinguishing difference. So in this video, I'm going to break down what leads to motivation initially. It's the dark side energy. I'm going to break it down in some Sith Lord lore, and then I'm going to break down what leads to sustained motivation using the light side, using the Jedi as an example. So the first thing we want to look at is the dark side motivation and energy that gets people moving. Fear is the path to the dark side. So we'll break down how fear helps you get started, but why it's ultimately not sustainable. And we all know the famous line from Yoda.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
And if you look at the Sith code, which is obviously rooted in the dark side, you can actually see a little bit of a hint as to what the main driver for motivation is. Peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The force shall set me free. So what does this have to do with going to the gym? The dark side is very emotional, and motivation is also very emotional. Fear is always going to be the number one driver of action. It could be fear that your high blood pressure is going to lead to further heart problems down the road, and that's going to lead to a shorter lifespan. You're not going to be able to walk your daughter down the aisle, which was something that your father wasn't able to do for you. There's the fear of being judged, where maybe your coworkers are looking at you and they're judging and making decisions about how much they respect you or don't based off of how you look. There's the fear of being shirtless, whether that's at the pool or when you're being intimate with your spouse or significant other. Those fears is ultimately what gets people moving because that emotional pain is not fun. So that leads to two things. You're either now motivated, that's a painful emotion, you go to the gym, that's the driving force behind you making a change and taking action, or you're so used to this negative emotion that you kind of just get numb to it. You doubt that it's even possible, you become apathetic and you give up. And when you look at fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering, a lot of times it's fear about making a change. You try making a change, it doesn't work. And then you become angry that it's not working, angry with yourself, angry that other people are able to see the change and you're not able to see the change. And then that leads to hate. You hate your body, you hate others. And that's going to be what leads to suffering because it might not be a conscious anger or hatred of others, but it's an internalized hatred of yourself. And that's going to be what gets projected out to others. And that's where you see people tearing people down. A normal person doesn't want to tear someone down. They're trying to pull them down because that's how they feel about themselves. And so let's say you do choose the path of working out, making a change, eating healthy, and all of a sudden things start to look a bit better. The blood pressure is gone. The doctor's like, wow, congratulations, you're in a much better place. Your coworkers are giving you compliments. You look so good. What's your secret? What have you been doing? Wow, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident. But what's happening is that pain is now gone. That dark side, that emotional driving energy is no longer the fuel. It's burnt out, which is good in the moment. I don't want people in pain suffering. But once that initial fire, that spark is gone, then it's kind of like, oh, what's the point? I'm in a good spot. I don't need to keep doing the things that I did to get me out of pain. And that's where yo-yo dieting happens. And it might be doing different diets. You could totally impact your metabolism. But the biggest thing is a mindset shift where you're going from, I'm motivated by pain. And every single time I hit a certain weight threshold, maybe it's the 200 mark or the 250 mark or the 300 mark, or you're winded when you go upstairs. As soon as you hit that threshold of pain, that's when you start working. Then as soon as you get below another threshold of, oh, I'm good, then you stop working. And so you're always going to be on this cycle where you're driven by pain. And if you don't have a pain, there's no reason to be consistent. So now let's look at the light side, which I would argue is almost like a more endurance-based motivation. The dark side is a great spark. It gets you going, it gets you started. But if you want to do something that is long-term and sustainable, it might not be as powerful in the short term, but it's going to be something that enables you to go for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And this is what I've seen enables people to make that transition from someone motivated by pain, who is now motivated by purpose. Jedi use their powers to defend and protect, never to attack others. Jedi serve others rather than ruling over them. Jedi seek to improve themselves through knowledge and training. Now, this isn't to say that the Jedi are better than the Sith in terms of who is more cool, or that you need to be a Jedi or identify with a Jedi, whatever. You could be a smuggler. But the point here remains, if you are driven by pain, you will only do things to serve yourself and get yourself out of pain. But if you are driven by serving others, if you are driven by knowledge, if you are driven by mastery, and you want to see how good you can get, then there really is no end to how many people you can help. There is no end to mastery. There is no finish line when you are pursuing the best version of yourself, because that is your honor and that is your duty. And so picture this: a lion chasing a gazelle is a great example of motivated by fear and pain, or motivated by purpose and hunger. The lion is chasing that gazelle. That gazelle does not want to get caught. It knows that eventually, if it gets caught, it is the end. And so initially it's sprinting, it's going, it's a quick burst of energy. The lion is built for a little bit more endurance. It is driven by pursuing its goal. It's pursuing its thing that is going to feed it because it is hungry. And the lion is hungrier than the gazelle wants to just continually run away from fear. Eventually that gazelle gives up, the lion wins, and the lion doesn't just eat once. A few days later, it's hungry. It's going to go and pursue and chase again. So the lion needs to eat. And it's going to be a very similar way in that you need to see who it is that you're capable of becoming. Not because you're driven by fear, but because if you don't go and do that, you know that you're letting other people down. You're not able to serve them to the best of your ability because your energy is lower. You're not as strong. You're not leading by example. And so now you're kind of pulled towards a vision as opposed to running away from pain. And this shows up a lot of different ways. When I talk about being fit for the Republic, I'm talking about being fit to serve your children or your family to the best of your ability. I'm talking about being fit to serve your country if you're a service member. If you aren't someone who's able to pull someone out of a burning helicopter, or not someone who's able to lead from the front because you're barely passing your PRT scores, that's an example of not being fit for the Republic. It could be a firefighter, it could be a police officer. The bad guys don't tell you when they're going to go and rob the house. You got to be fit to defend people or fit to serve the community at a moment's notice. Maybe you're a teacher or a coach and you've got students or clients that are looking up to you, and your ability to demonstrate consistency, hard work, grit gives them an example to follow. The Jedi use the light side to protect and defend. And a little bit of a side note, society can get so wrapped up in what is alpha, but if you look at an alpha elephant or an alpha gorilla, they're defending their pack, they're defending their herd, they're protecting it from others. Your ability to protect and serve others is the most alpha thing that you can do. That's why you're working out. That's why you're eating better. It's so that you can be there to protect, provide, and care for those who might need your help for as long as possible. Now, if you're a gamer like me and you love having goals, missions, and challenges and want to work towards an achievement-based system, that's also a really great way to have motivation. Most of fitness is based off of shaming. It's based off of restriction. And so if you have something that you're actually working towards, it creates a form of operant conditioning where you're being rewarded for positive behavior. And if you want to see 3 different ways that you can do that, check out this video right here where I walk you through a 3-step system to gamify your fitness and make it much more fun and motivating.